we decided to take a little bit of our own advice and visit some places close to home. So we visited a place called Bethabara Park, and it's in Winston-Salem. It was the original Moravian settlement a couple hundred years ago in the Carolina backcountry. The Moravians were actually in Bethabara Park. Well, it wasn't a park then. The Moravians settled in Bethabara and then moved on to create or to settle in Salem, which is the Salem part of Winston-Salem. The interesting thing about the day we visited was they had a French and Indian War encampment, and they had costumed reenactors there to explain what life was like back a couple hundred years ago when these folks were just trying to carve a town out of the middle of the woods. A small group of Moravians settled this religious village and trade center in an 18th century wilderness. It was full of bears, wolves, Indians, and outlaws. It's a National Historic Landmark. This 1753 site of the German-speaking Protestant settlement is in a picturesque wooded 183-acre wildlife preserve that also has 126 species of birds. The museum at Bethabara features a unique, restored, and furnished 1788 church, archaeological ruins, a visitor center, and they have tours and exhibits with costume guides, as well as a reconstructed village, a French and Indian war fort, and colonial and medical gardens.
We're here at historic Bethabara Park, and we've got some reenactors that are set up over here, a group of reenactors from Fort Dobbs, and there's some mounted, as you can see probably over there, we've got a mounted unit as well. And this is depicting the period of the French and Indian War, which would be about 1755 up through about 1759-60.
Well, today we're doing a French and Indian War encampment. We have two groups of reenactors from the Rowan County area coming down and giving us a taste of what life was like in the 1700s here at Bethabara Park, which is the starting point of Forsyth County. And this was the timing in the mid-1700s that the park was, that the community here in Bethabara was established. And the palisade that you see there is a reconstruction of what was here, designed to protect folks from the Indians during the French and Indian War. And so it's very appropriate that we have a French and Indian War encampment right here on Bethabara Park.
The concern was with all the people in the outlying area who would jump every time a gun was fired or something, would come to Bethabara to seek refuge. And so this palisades was built as kind of the local fort for the area. But like I said, there wasn't really much that went on out here at that time. A lot of people came down from the north, escaping the horrors of the French and Indian War from Virginia and other parts north.
Looking in that pot.
Sir, we're provincials. They don't pay us enough.
But no, please feel free to ask any questions.
We'll answer them from this position.
Now, in the British
Unless you
military
have
at the
gold,
time,
sir.
It was common for a mess of soldiers, the 5 men or so who would share a tent, would have a kettle the size of the one that's on the fire, and that's where they would boil all of their rations up together. Typically, we've got pork today. They'll be getting about 3/4 of a pound of salted pork every day, or a pound of fresh meat if they can get it.
The Moravian Church traces its origins to followers of John Huss, the Bohemian martyr who was burned at the stake in 1415, and dates its formal beginning from 1457, when one group of the Hussites took the Latin name of Unitas Fratrum, or Unity of the Brethren.
My name here is Sister Linda Fry. We use a sister because the Moravians who lived here considered themselves one family with God as their Heavenly Father. father. The site is historic Bethabara Park, is the site of the first settlement of the Moravian Church here in North Carolina. A modern English name of what was known in the 18th century as Unitas Fratrum, the original of which was founded by followers of John Huss in 1457. So we go back even pre-Martin Luther. It's a Protestant church, and they did a lot of mission work, made two major settlements here in North America, one in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and one in Salem, which became Salem. Would predate Salem because of when they purchased land here in North Carolina. They sent a group of men here to settle the territory, and then they went from there and built the central town of Salem.
They lived separate. They had a married sister's house and a brother's.
Had the married sisters living on one floor and the married men living on another floor. And because there really weren't enough rooms to have all these, but they did have conjugal times.
It's the first land patterns, what you see during the French and Indian War, earlier, much earlier. It was around at the turn of the 18th century, and is in use some form or another until even the Alamo. The Mexicans are using altered brown besses, and they get much shorter. As you can see, this one's a little tall. It's almost as tall as I am. So it is a Flintlock Musket. It uses a flint rock here, held in place by the cock. The flint will hit the steel and cause a shower of sparks down into the pan, which will ignite the powder in the barrel through that little hole you can see right in there.
Awesome.
So,
How accurate were they?
they're fairly accurate up to about 40 or 50 yards.
Well, and keep in mind that 50% of the revenues for this quarter, July, August, September, on YouTube, for the AdSense revenues, goes to help fight diabetes. So if you see something in the ad that interests you, by all means, click it.
Right now I'm using a hand awl, and I use this. I use other tools, but I also use my small little pocket knives. The detail work is I work down with my hand. This one's probably, I'm guessing, maybe 50 hours, because I mean, when you're staying here doing this, you know, you're not taking much wood off, and you don't want to take much wood off because you want to make. This spoon is different than most soup spoons because one side is going to be deeper than the other one.